In this first video, let us start our human digestive system. This is the diagram of human digestive system. This is an important question from your examination point of view. Draw a neat label diagram of human digestive system. Now let us study the parts of human digestive system. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, rectum, anus. There are digestive glands. They are salivary glands in oral cavity, gastric glands in stomach, liver, pancreas, and intestinal glands in the small intestine. Now let us study the process of digestion. Digestion is a physiological process in which complex food substances are broken down into simple food substances in the presence of enzymes. This definition is also very important from your examination point of view. Define the term digestion. Now let us understand. In digestion, complex food substances are broken down into simple food substances. In the presence of enzymes. What are complex food substances? Examples: carbohydrates, simple food substances of carbohydrates are simple sugars. Second complex food substance, proteins. Proteins are broken down into amino acids. Third complex food substance, fats. Fats are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol. So this is also an important question from your examination point of view. Give examples for complex food substances and simple food substances. Now let us understand the importance of digestion. Digestion plays a major role in the absorption of simple food substances into blood in the small intestine. That we will discuss in our coming videos. So let us understand the importance of digestion is absorption of simple food substances into blood. So this step changes that food undergoes in oral cavity. This is an important question from your examination point of view. In oral cavity, there are teeth. Teeth help in cutting food material and chewing food material. Cutting and chewing food. Into pieces. Now, let us talk about tongue. Tongue helps in mixing food with saliva. Mixing food with saliva And tongue also helps in swallowing food material. Swallowing food. Tongue also helps in moving food material all over the oral cavity. Moving food all over the oral cavity. Now let us talk about an important thing. In oral cavity, there are salivary glands. These salivary glands release saliva. In saliva, there is an enzyme, salivary amylase. This salivary amylase breaks down carbohydrates into simple sugars. Carbohydrates into simple sugars. But this breaking down of carbohydrates into simple sugar is very incomplete. Further carbohydrate digestion happens in remaining part of the alimentary canal, that we will discuss in our coming video. Mouth watering. Mouth watering is salivary glands release saliva when we eat something. Secretion of saliva when we eat something is mouth watering. This is the second video. In this second video, let us talk about peristaltic movements. In our previous class, we studied about tongue helps in swallowing food material. Once food is swallowed into pharynx, from there into esophagus, in esophagus, food does not undergo any changes. Only food passes through esophagus. Now let us study how food passes through esophagus. See, peristaltic movements. What are peristaltic movements? Fast wave-like movements. Fast wave-like movements are peristaltic movements. What are wave-like movements? Rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the walls of esophagus. See, food is here. Contraction of muscles of esophagus. So this is relaxation state of muscles of esophagus. Rhythmic contraction and relaxation. What does it mean? It means alternate contraction and relaxation of muscles of esophagus pushes food material all along the length of esophagus. So therefore, peristaltic movements are rhythmic contraction and relaxation of walls of muscles. Rhythmic contraction and relaxation of muscles of esophagus. So as a result of this, food is pushed down all along the length of alimentary canal. So let us talk about what are the changes that food undergoes in stomach. Food undergoes changes in the stomach. This is very important question from your examination point of view. What are the changes that food undergoes in stomach? Now let us study one by one, step by step. Stomach is a muscular organ. muscular sac-like structure. The walls of stomach are made up of muscles. These muscles also contract and expand, contract and relax rhythmically. As a result of rhythmic contraction and relaxation of muscles of the stomach, food is mixed up with gastric juice thoroughly. So those contraction and relaxation of muscles of stomach are peristaltic movements only. So let us write directly peristaltic movements of walls of muscles of stomach. Peristaltic movements. Peristaltic movements of walls of stomach. Food gets mixed up with gastric juice thoroughly. Food gets mixed up with gastric juice. What is gastric juice? Gastric juice is released in the stomach. So in the walls of stomach, there are gastric glands. In the walls of the stomach, there are gastric glands. These gastric glands secrete gastric juice. Secrete gastric juice. This gastric juice consists of HCl, mucus, and pepsin enzyme. Let us talk about components of gastric juice. Components of gastric juice. Gastric juice consists of HCl. HCl, functions of HCl. HCl kills microbes that enter into stomach along with food material. So HCl kills microbes. The next function of HCl is it creates acidic medium for the proper functioning of the enzyme pepsin. So it facilitates the function of enzyme pepsin by creating acidic medium. Facilitates the function of pepsin enzyme. So these two are the main functions of HCl. Now let us talk about mucus. So this mucus protects the walls of stomach from the action of HCl. Protects the walls of stomach. Why should it protect? Already it is acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid can destroy the walls of stomach. Therefore, mucus protects the walls of stomach from the action of HCl. This is the main function. Now, let us talk about an important thing. HCl facilitates the function of pepsin by creating acidic medium that we have studied already. So this pepsin acts on proteins, and proteins are broken down into peptones. Proteins are broken down into peptones. See here, in stomach, proteins are broken down into peptones incompletely. Further, proteins undergo complete digestion in the small intestine. In the small intestine that we will study in our coming video. So these are the components of gastric juice and their functions. Now let us talk about what is bolus and what is chyme. See, bolus and chyme. Bolus is formed in mouth cavity, oral cavity. Formation, first point, first difference. Bolus is formed in oral cavity. What is that? After food undergoes thorough mastication in oral cavity, it gets mixed up with saliva. That soft semi-solid food after getting mixed up with saliva is bolus. So that is what we have to understand, that bolus is formed in oral cavity. Chyme, what is chyme? After food gets mixed up with gastric juice in stomach, that food is called semi-solid food. After getting mixed up with gastric juice in the stomach, that is called chyme. So it is formed in stomach. This is the first difference. Second one, nature. Bolus is alkaline in nature. Alkaline means basic. Chyme is acidic in nature. Acidic in nature. Then third one, passage. Bolus passes from oral cavity into esophagus. Passes from oral cavity into esophagus. But chyme passes from stomach into small intestine. Stomach, chyme is formed in stomach. It passes from stomach into small intestine. From stomach into small intestine. So these are the differences between bolus and chyme. Third video, let us complete human digestion. Now let us start how digestion happens in the small intestine. Small intestine. It is a very important question from your examination point of view. What are the changes that food undergoes in the small intestine, or how digestion happens in the small intestine? Let us study step by step. Digestion in the small intestine. See, chyme that is formed in the stomach, it moves into the small intestine. Here there is a sphincter muscle in between the small intestine and the stomach. That sphincter muscle controls the movement of chyme into small intestine from the stomach. See, this is the first part of small intestine, that is duodenum. Into duodenum, liver opens and pancreas opens. Now let us study the role of liver. Liver secretes bile juice. This bile juice consists of bile salts. These bile salts break down fats into smaller fat globules. Bile salts break down fats into smaller fat globules. This process is fat emulsification. This is an important question from your examination point of view. define the term fats emulsification. For further digestion, this fats emulsification is very important. In bile juice, there are no enzymes. No enzymes in bile juice. Now let us talk about the secretion of pancreas. Pancreas releases pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice consists of three enzymes. Pancreas releases pancreatic juice into the small intestine. This pancreatic juice consists of three enzymes. One is pancreatic amylase. This pancreatic amylase acts on carbohydrates and convert carbohydrates into simple sugars. Second enzyme, pancreatic lipase. This pancreatic lipase breaks down emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Then the third enzyme is trypsin. This trypsin breaks down proteins into peptones and polypeptides. Proteins into peptones and polypeptides. So these are the changes that happen in the presence of the three enzymes of pancreatic juice. Now let us study about intestinal glands. These intestinal glands secrete intestinal juice. Intestinal juice. This intestinal juice has enzymes for the complete digestion of carbohydrates into simple sugars, fats into fatty acids and glycerol, proteins into peptones and polypeptides. But the enzymes are different. So, in intestine, small intestine, there are intestinal glands. These intestinal glands release intestinal juice. Intestinal juice consists of the complete digestion of carbohydrates into simple sugars, emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerol, proteins into amino acids. Amino acids. So this is what we have discussed in the first video. What is digestion? Conversion of complex food substances into simple food substances. See, digestion is completed in the small intestine. That is why the small intestine is called the site of complete digestion of food. Understand? Villi. These villi are finger-like projections present in the walls of small intestine. These villi are finger-like projections. Where are they present? Present in the walls of small intestine. These villi increase the area of absorption. Increase the area of absorption. What is that area of absorption? This villi play a major role in the absorption of simple food substances. So this is the second role of villi. What is the role? Villi absorb simple food substances into blood. Absorb simple food substances. So, role of villi is important from your examination point of view. What is the importance of villi? Villi increase the area of absorption and absorb simple food substances into blood. Absorption of water and minerals from the undigested waste material. Then, once water and minerals are absorbed, this undigested waste material is stored in rectum. So, rectum is a temporary storage muscular sac where undigested waste is stored. So, rectum. So, in rectum, undigested waste is stored temporarily. Temporary storage place. What is stored temporarily? Undigested waste is stored in rectum. Then anus. Anus is guarded by anal sphincter. Anus is protected. So that protection is done by anal sphincter muscle. Sphincter muscle. What is the role of anal sphincter muscle? It can control the movement of waste material. Controlling function of sphincter muscle. It can control the movement of waste material. So with this, human digestion we have done completely. In our coming videos, we will discuss about dental caries. Let us understand what is tooth decay or dental caries. In oral cavity, there are sugars. These sugars are acted upon by bacteria. As a result of bacterial action, sugars are converted into acids. These acids gradually soften or demineralize dentine and enamel of teeth. Gradually soften dentine and enamel of teeth. This process is tooth decay. Sugars present in oral cavity are converted into acids. These acids gradually soften dentine and enamel of teeth. Now we have a doubt. In oral cavity, there is saliva. This saliva is alkaline in nature, basic in nature. Why doesn't it neutralize the functions of acids? Because saliva cannot reach the surface of teeth. What is the reason behind it? The reason behind it is dental plaque. What is dental plaque? Dental plaque is formed by a masses of bacterial cells with food material stick to the surface of teeth and form dental plaque. Remember very carefully, masses of bacterial cells together with food material stick to the surface of teeth, form dental plaque. This dental plaque cannot allow the saliva to reach the surface of teeth. So that is why acids cannot be neutralized by saliva. So how can we avoid the formation of dental plaque? By brushing teeth after eating food. So dental plaque can be avoided. Then tooth decay can also be avoided by brushing teeth after eating. If brushing teeth we avoid, it will lead to microorganisms would reach the pulp of teeth and it would lead to inflammation and infection. So this is about tooth decay or dental caries. Next, let us understand length of small intestine varies in carnivores and in herbivores. What is the reason behind it? Length of small intestine. From your examination point of view, this is important. Length of small intestine varies. In carnivores, length of small intestine is smaller because carnivores eat flesh, meat. That meat is very soft, therefore they need smaller small intestine to digest meat. That is the reason. And in case of herbivores eat grass. Grass contains cellulose. To digest cellulose, herbivores need longer small intestine. Longer small intestine. To digest cellulose, herbivores need longer small intestine. So this is the reason behind why herbivores and carnivores have different lengths of small intestine. Nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular aquatic organism. We know that. Unicellular aquatic organism. Amoeba have pseudopodia. Pseudopodia help in locomotion, moving from one place to another place. And pseudopodia also play a major role in getting food material. Now let us understand how pseudopodia help amoeba to get food material. Step by step, let us understand. See, so this is amoeba. When amoeba feels there is food material, or when food material touches the cell wall of amoeba, it starts extending pseudopodia around food material. So that is the first stage. What is that? Extension of pseudopodia. Pseudopodia around food material. So this is nucleus. Then see, this is food. So these are pseudopodia. Next stage, these pseudopodia fuse to form a food vacuole. Next stage. So this is food material. Amoeba extending its pseudopodia around food material to form food vacuole. So this is food vacuole. So the next step is pseudopodia fuse to form food vacuole. So formation of food vacuole by the fusion of pseudopodia. Then in the next step, within the food vacuole, digestion happens, conversion of complex food materials into simple food materials. So this is food vacuole. So this is nucleus, this is food vacuole. In the next step, digestion happens, that is breaking down of complex food substances into simple food substances. Digestion. Then in the last stage, soon after the food is digested, the digested food materials are absorbed into the cytoplasm. In the next stage, the undigested waste materials are thrown outside through the cell wall. So here digestion and absorption. And in the next stage, so here it is nucleus, it is excretory material, undigested waste material, it is thrown outside. So throwing out waste materials. So this is how in amoeba we can observe the type of nutrition, how amoeba get food material. So nutrition in amoeba, very important from your examination point of view. Paramecium. In paramecium, pseudopodia are absent, but there are cilia around the paramecium. From the cell wall, n number of cilia extend outside. So this is paramecium. So there are cilia all over the body. So these cilia help in acquiring food material, help in getting food material. So this paramecium can take food material at a specific spot. That specific spot is oral groove. Oral groove. But amoeba can get food material from any part of the cell wall because of the pseudopodia. But in case of paramecium, it is not like that. The cilia help paramecium to get food material. And the cilia throw food material, send food material towards oral groove. So this is food material. So the cilia move food material towards the oral groove. So this is what is nutrition in case of paramecium. I think saprophytic nutrition is different, heterotrophic nutrition is different. See, examples of heterotrophic nutrition we have studied: amoeba, paramecium, and human digestive system, human digestion. In heterotrophic nutrition, food is taken inside the body, and inside the body food is broken down into simple substances, and simple substances are absorbed into the cell wall, into the cytoplasm in case of amoeba, and into blood in higher organisms. Now, in saprophytic nutrition, It is a peculiar type of nutrition in fungi we can observe very carefully. See, saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition. See, in this saprophytic nutrition, fungi have this type of nutrition. Let us study with an example. It is not there in the textbook, or it may not be given in examination also, but for your understanding purpose, how saprophytic nutrition happens, I am making you to understand. See, listen, this is a bread piece. So Rhizopus grows on bread piece. This is Rhizopus fungi. So this Rhizopus fungi, you see, this bread piece is rich in carbohydrates. So this fungi releases enzymes into bread pieces. So it releases outside enzymes. So these enzymes break down carbohydrates into sugars outside the body of fungi. Once sugars are formed from carbohydrates in the presence of enzymes released by Rhizopus fungi outside the body, then these sugars are absorbed into the body of Rhizopus. It means breaking down of food material happens outside the body by releasing enzymes. So this is a peculiar type of nutrition we can observe in saprophytes. In heterotrophs, breaking down of food material happens inside the body. In saprophytes, breaking down of food material happens outside the body. There enzymes play a major role. Here also enzymes play a major role. But there in heterotrophs, enzymes are released inside the body, but saprophytes, enzymes, they release outside from their body. So this is the difference between saprophytes and heterotrophic nutrition that we have discussed already. See, these parasites are disease causing organisms. Examples: leech, ticks, lice, Taenia solium, and so many parasites. They cause diseases to plants, animals, and human beings. They get their nutrition from these organisms without killing them. So this type of nutrition is called parasitic nutrition.